your trajectory kind of developed. You went to school with that foundation and that background from your pre-chiropractic study, which I just want to point out. I would love it if students had that type of experience like you had, spending 2 years in an office in different spaces of chiropractic that allow you to see, experience, listen to what's really going on in a practice. But can you speak to what your experience was as you went into chiropractic school, began to get maybe not chiropractic school, but maybe where you developed your artistry and who those influences were and how it's grown over time?
The artistry began, I think, as childhood.
Mhm.
Watching village healers do what they do. I thought that was what health and medicine was. Um, then in school, you learn a lot of sciences, you learn a lot of very strict things. It helps you pass all your boards and your exams, and you can speak to anyone and you can speak to any insurance company. I think if we back up and we go, I'm three beings. I'm a body, I'm a mind, and I'm a spirit. And I need to look at what are my gifts. My body, I'm strong. I love physical activity. I'm athletic. My mind and my spirit, I love helping people. I like a challenge, and I'm good with people. So if I look at like, these are my gifts, how do I nurture them? Then I start looking around and I'll actually adjust somebody and ask them to adjust me. If I like the way they touch me, if it feels good in my body, then I start asking them questions. Wow, where'd you learn this? What does it mean? How'd you feel when I touched you? Or when you did that to me, it felt a certain way. And so I started looking for the links. Okay. The biggest, most important thing to find your pathway is ask the questions, okay? And expose yourself. Get adjusted by as many people as you can. When you find the flavors that you like, go search them out. Because the more we allow ourselves to search those questions, those people drop in. Okay.
Mhm.
I got to study with some of the big guys, and it was only by kind of accident, I believe. My pathway with Sue Brown and Dr. Lou Corletto, again, that was just very interesting. I was graduated from chiropractic school, working at a high volume practice, a lot of personal injury. And it didn't resonate with my heart, but it got my hands on a lot of people. One of our fellow doctors, who used to walk like this, like she had a stick up her butt, her sacrum was really locked, and we used to bang on that and twist it and pull it and you name it. So she disappears for a month, visits her brother, and when she comes back, she's walking normal. I said, what happened? She says, oh, this thing called network, and there's somebody around here who does this thing called network. It was Sue Brown. So I called, made an appointment. I brought a bouquet of flowers and my white jacket over my thing. I go to her office, which was the garage of what do they call it? A ranch house, not a big place. She was seeing 85 people a day out of this little space. So I'm standing against the wall because the 6 chairs were already filled up, and I'm holding my jacket and the flowers, and she comes out and she says, hi, I'm going to adjust you first before you observe me. She puts me on a table in a room with a bunch of other people. She does this little light thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting angry. I'm feeling all this stuff. I'm like, this is really interesting. I want her to just come in and give me a good crack and get me out of here. So all my mental jargon was coming up. She flips me over. She does the touch. She sets up my cervical, and it went from my neck to my torso to my belly all the way down. And I said, oh. I said, I've only had 2 other masters, old men masters, adjust my neck like that. And you literally ricocheted that through my whole body. I said, that C1 was amazing. She says, no, that was C2. And it did. It went from here to there. She described it down to T7, over to L1, and right down to S2. So I started to chase her information. She went from network, and then she started to discover all these other things. It began as triune, and then she turned it into because everybody voted on a name, calls it BGI, biogeometric integration, which is the sacred geometry of the body. And honestly, I believe it's the spirit. The more I've studied it, it's the tree of life, and it's God's breath moving through this giant matrix. And from there, I had to just keep studying it so much that I actually became one of the teachers and one of the teacher trainers, eventually one of the masters. There were only like 25 of us masters who got to train with her before she transitioned back up to heaven. And during that time, she would say to me, Katina, I want you to come adjust with me. I'm like, no. So you're using all these big words. I can't teach with you. She says, no. You're doing the geometry. You just don't realize it. I'm like, I don't know. It's too heady for me. She says, adjust that person. So I put my hands on their bum and I felt whatever needed to be felt. And then my next hand to the next place. And I was just innately moving energy through this person's body. After about the third contact, she starts giggling and she says, oh, Katina, you are following such and such a pathway. And she put all the words and the numbers to it. And having studied it, I'm like, oh my goodness, you're right. I am applying the concepts of this geometry. Okay, I'll go teach with you. I don't feel so intimidated. And so from there, she also picked up Lou Corletto and myself, and the three of us became the BGI Osseous group. And Sue brought in all the wisdom and the research and all the, she was a research junkie. I mean, that woman could read a book in 2 nights. Mm-hmm. And so Lou and I, she did an interesting experiment when she took us out to teach a group of people. She says, look at all of us. And we're all kind of square, squat looking people. Sue is, Lou is, I am. She says, but now listen. Who is more osseous toned and who is more tonally toned? And she had Lou and I stand on one side of the room and she stood on the other. And by asking us to listen, the side that Lou and I were sounded like this. We sounded more like a heavy group of elephants. And then when you focused on Sue, you heard a much higher vibration. That was the first time I really understood the first principle of chiropractic, which is we are built on tone. Mm-hmm. It made sense to me that if the books say that God scooped up a wad of dirt, fashioned it like clay, and made this perfect thing, and blows his self into us, that's going to create perfect harmony flowing in this piece of body that we get to live in. The tones and the harmony is what we chiropractors hook the person up to. We literally connecting them back to their own innate, to their own harmony. Mm-hmm. The pain, okay, that's really what it sounds like, and it feels that way. Mm-hmm. So the principles of chiropractic, tone, yes, we want happy tone, we want centered tone, we want strong tone, we want a godly tone, we want a peaceful tone. Mm-hmm. And it flows from above, down, inside, out. Mm-hmm. In life, if it goes in and out, in and out, in and out, it's going to get very codependent. Mm-hmm. And we're really not engaging in the practice of healing and integrating that person and helping them go in and connect with their source from above, down, put it back together, inside, and they shine. My joy is when I see patients walk in, they sound and they look a certain way and they're kind of crinkled. And then when they get up and they walk out and they have this happy little spry and they're quicker in their gait and their butt shakes. And I'll say to them, I says, your butt is shaking so beautifully. I love it. And there's an excitement because they know that they're better. They know, they feel it. And chiropractic is one of the amazing careers where you feel it. You sense it, you feel it, you know it. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful gift. I wish medical doctors would also learn to be chiropractors.
Mhm.
Um, it would marry what they do.
Mhm.
Instead of relying on blood work, they could touch the person and go, oh, they're swollen, or they're lymphatics. Oh, let's drain the head. Uh, oh, their whole body's swollen. Boy, are you eating sugar? Are you, let's cut that down. Or, oh, your belly's bloated. Let's go after enzymatic breakdown there. Instead, we go, oh, your belly's bloated. Let's send you to a GI specialist.
Mhm.
Chiropractic is a specialist in everything. Okay.
Mhm.
It's a specialist in innate and in every system of the body.
Mhm.
The-
Mhm.
And if you look at our career curriculum, you
Mhm.
look at the medical doctors and you look at a chiropractors, we take all the same scientific classes. Okay.
Mhm.
What we don't take is we take, I think, one class on drugs
Mhm.
and about 4 classes on nutrition. So that's the way we balance out our chemistry. We learn our chemistry to learn nutrition and how it applies into the cellular matrix. My medical buddies, they have to learn drugs and a number of other pathways.
Mhm.
So the curriculum is it's intense, okay? You
Mhm.
are a doctor. To become a chiropractor, you are a doctor, you're a family practitioner, uh, and you help people in ways that very often your patients are the throwaways, okay? They've gone to every other kind of doctor and they still don't feel well. Then they end up on our doorstep and their lives change. It's
Mhm.
such a rewarding career. And,
Mhm.
and as a female, it's a tremendous career because you have space and time and energy to get married, to raise a family, to raise children in a healthy expression.
Mhm.
And so I can't say enough about what a wonderful career it is.
Mhm. Yeah, it sounds like it's really served you well. It's what'd you say, 35 plus years, 40 years?
35, yeah.
Mhm. Can you describe what that expression looks like in your particular space that you function or that you serve out of in your office, your practice? What's it like? What's the vibe? How are you engaging people? How are you supporting them? How are you getting them to refocus their selves inward and stay connected to that innate that you talked about?
So the best way would probably be to describe a new patient, okay, because they have no idea why they're coming to my office other than Uncle Joe said, you got to go here. And they come in, they fill out a questionnaire. So already, just from the tone of the answers on their questions, it lets me know where they're at.
Mhm.
And so I meet them where they're at. Maybe they're into pain, maybe they're into growth and development, maybe they want to feel better so they can raise their children and be able to do things. So the questionnaire tells me a lot. And then I also, from the other side, I look at them and I'm already starting to look at how they're breathing and moving. And I start to mirror them and resonate with them. So I really start to understand who they are.
Mhm.
Then I come out, I introduce myself, I reach out. Nowadays with COVID, I reach my hand out and I says, if you want to shake, I says, we even give hugs here, and I leave it up to them. Some people go like this, some people go, stick their hand out. Then I give them a little tour. I let them know, here's the front desk. Then I take them into what we call the big adjustment room, which is now, because of COVID, we used to have an open adjustment room. Now we have it split up with plants and semi-partitions. And so I bring them through and I let them know that this is our big healing room. Today we're going to start here. Other days you just pick a table that's open.
Mhm.
And then I look at them and I start to connect with them.
Mhm.
Um, and I look for their heart's desires. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, I want to help them discover what their heart's desires are,
Mhm.
and away from fear. Okay.
Mhm.
Because my job is to help them realize and find their center strengths.
Mhm.
So I ask a few questions. I don't let them ramble on about their pain and this, that, and the other. I keep bringing them back to who they are and how powerful they are. And let's say they have a job, but they're sitting all day long, and they're sitting and they're talking to me like this. Okay. So right away, I will start on, I'd like to teach you some empowerment tools. Okay. He says, my job is to touch you and to help your body find and reconnect to itself, especially in places that have had trauma or have had things that were overwhelming, and the body's smart. It'll turn it off.
Mhm.
So, for example, most people have a lot of pain going across here, okay,
Mhm.
and they're standing and their head's way forward. So acknowledging their pain, and I'll put my hand on, I'll say, oh, yes, those tissues are screaming at you. They love you. Thank God you have this pain. Thank God this is so stretched out that it's saying, please, please, please bring me back together. And so instantly I'll help them change their posture while they're sitting there, and know them, you just re-empowered your body. You re-empowered your body by bringing it back to center. Because every time the head goes forward, every inch, it's 20 pounds, 25, 30, 35, 40, 55. We're at about 80 pounds when we're doing this.
Mhm.
Give them wisdom and give them empowerment. So their very first day, they get posture training, posture
Mhm.
empowerment training.
Mhm.
And at first they say, oh, this feels weird. I says, oh, yes. I says, if we had a tree hanging on a cliff, I says, we couldn't rip it off. We'd put some, there we go. We'd put some ropes and some things, and we'd slowly, slowly, slowly get that tree to find its center. I says, all the cells in your body are going to have to start breaking down and regrowing. I says, in 2 years, you get a whole new body.
Mhm.
So day one, give them empowerment tools and homework, as we call it.
Mhm.
Um, Then I lay them on the table and do what we do,
Mhm.
and have them breathe in some places, maybe roll them over if they need to. Then when they get up, they usually have this look of peace and ecstasy and go, do I have to go home? Can't I just stay here?
Mhm.
So the work speaks for itself.
Mhm.
And we do amazing things. We touch somebody, we teach them, we empower them, we give them wisdom. We don't degrade them, and we don't keep them in their pain model.
Mhm.
It exists,
Mhm.
and there's a reason that pain is happening. Helping them understand how they can deal with it and
Mhm.
change it. Okay.
Mhm.
Pain is a friend. It's telling you, red light, stove is too hot, get away.
Mhm.
Um, but we do live in a society where the stress is hurry up, get it done, don't take care of yourself, you don't count, you didn't get it done. And you see it in everybody's postures, and their eyes are bugging, and they're all in adrenal fatigue. And we chiropractors are willing to unravel that and empower somebody and teach them that that's one pathway, but you have
Mhm.
1,000 million more health pathways that are here at your doorstep.
Mhm. That's
And
a beautiful segue into like bringing this back and centering the voice on a prospective student or someone who's entering chiropractic school. A lot of the times there's a rush. Let's just get through this program and get that doctorate. And can we talk about some of the challenges that you've seen students really encounter within themselves? Some of those blocks that they have a really difficult time that there's a lot of struggle with, and some of the strategies that we can maybe little just plant some seeds on some ways to think about school and just that whole process, right? You said we have a brand new body in 2 years. The program is anywhere between 3 and 4 years, depending on how fast you want to rush through it or just take your time. But can you speak to what you've seen in the people that you've worked closely with over the years who are on their way to becoming chiropractors, or who are already chiropractors when they decide this is what they want to do, and just kind of what that process looks like to you, and just imparting some wisdom on some of the ways you've been able to help young chiropractic students or young graduates find themselves, and some of those struggles that chiropractic students go through and young chiropractors.
make sure you've been adjusted. make sure you spent time with a couple of chiropractors before you go to chiropractic school. Okay. I've worked with some students who went to chiropractic school because they couldn't get into med school. Okay. They hadn't been adjusted. They really did not have a good time in school. Okay. And I don't know what happened to them afterwards. So to back up, the most important thing is have some flavors of what career you're going to be marrying. Okay. You're going to marry somebody, you want to know who in tarnation they are. Okay. You are marrying this career. This is going to be an intimate relationship. When you're in school, okay, school is hard. School is, sometimes I would call it prison. Okay. Because everything is very regimented. You have to schedule yourself. You've got to take your exams. You've also got to work to pay your bills. And you've got to take your exams on time. You've got to do well. You gotta. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much a business. If you take your school like it's a business and go, all right, I'm here to get this certificate. I'm here to learn as much as I can. And I'm going to learn reality things. I'm going to go to every club that I possibly interests me. Okay. So that again, I can get flavors. I can get flavors of what does my career of chiropractic offer. So when you're in school, you go to clubs. Okay. If you do not go to clubs or if you do not go to seminars, you're really gypping yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a mental education, but you're really not going to get the emotional, applicable education that you're going to need. I was blessed that I was adjusting people before I came to school. And I had healing approaches before. While I was in school, I actually got in trouble because I was adjusting people on campus. So you have to obey the rules. And so to obey the rules, go to every club you possibly, get your hands wet, touch as many people, ask as many questions. I used to have a habit where if I had a funky question and I was ashamed to ask, I'd put a little note on a piece of paper and I'd stick it in my pocket. That night when I came home, I'd put the pieces of paper on my desk and I'd look them up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why was that guy's kidneys so boy, I punched him and it really hurt him. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, kidneys. Oh, 200 billion microtubules. And that's something this small, that many tubules, and if it's all clogged up like a filter system and it got hard, as soon as we put a vibration in it, yeah, it would hurt. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden it made sense. What you learn in school and you have to memorize, you want to link it to reality. Mm-hmm. Then your education becomes so applicable and so juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Let's just transition and pivot in a creative way to you looking at a pre-chiro program and some of the juicy things that you think a student specifically, you've mentioned, get familiar with the different flavors of chiropractic, get into some care with some really exquisite chiropractors that have trained and dedicated themselves and love what they do and are passionate and delivering a good quality artistic approach. What can we do to really not create the shiny object, because that's kind of what the MCATs are. That's what these entrance exams to graduate school programs are. But what can we do to create that allure that chiropractic is just something that's in alignment with chiropractic, but that we could do to build context, but also challenge younger versions of chiropractors to step up into themselves and really, I guess I'm asking you to just get creative and say, like, if there was a pre-chiro program, so to speak, maybe a vocational training that was an alternative route similar to how people go and learn how to become builders or car mechanics, or obviously it would be in the holistic health, holistic healing realm. Maybe you'd explore acupuncture and massage and yoga and Ayurveda and meditation and different spirituality. But could you just explore for us what it would look like if you could just paint a picture of how you can explore the world before chiropractic school?
If you're attracted to health, if you tend to find yourself, you like to go to the gym or you like yoga, or you like good food, or you like looking good and feeling good. Okay.
Mhm.
Right there, there's a basis of self-care. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're willing to do self-care and learn about self-care, it's going to make you curious. All those self-care approaches would be great in a pre-chiro program. Um, Learn your anatomy, learn some sciences, but also learn about metabolic effects of food. Learn to cook. Okay.
Mhm.
Learn to cook. So many people don't even cook food anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of movement. People learn, the brain learns in two basic ways, motor and sensory. Okay. We're getting a lot of sensory, and that is really throwing us off kilter. So to balance it out, we actually go, oh, motor. I need to exercise. I need to take a walk. I need to do deep breathing. Um, I need to use my motor skills. I would work those two systems in the program, and I would do a lot of touching.
Mhm.
I would have the students touch people, touch people, touch people, touch people, be touched, touch, 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 be touched. It's
Mhm.
the only way to experience the power of touch.
Mhm.
I would teach them some Qigong and Tai Chi on how to move energy through your hands and
Mhm.
then how to move it on yourself.
Mhm.
These would be the pre-chiro programs I would juice people up with.
Mhm. How about the environment? How would you get people relating to the environment or observing the environment and nature and the cycles? Is
Um,
that relevant? I guess my question more is that relevant to priming the pump for chiropractic school?
being aware of how the environment, the outside matrix, affects this inside matrix is very logical. Okay, you have the natural circadian rhythms. You have the moon. You have the sun. You have the water pulling. You have the storms coming in. Every time we have a low front coming in, I know my headache people. They're going to come in unless I teach them some cranial breathing so that they can get their head to start moving when this pressure front comes in. So you have the external ones, you have pollutants, you have this whole external fear dance that is being bombarded onto people. So I would teach them awarenesses of the multi-matrix, the multi-dimensional matrices of stressors and joys and encouragements that are in our outside matrix. And then I would also teach them the inside matrix. The inside body naturally knows how to heal. And then you're going to learn all that stuff in school because you're going to learn all your systems, your neurology, your embryology, your everything.
Mhm.
Um, but helping people become aware that there's an outside matrix
Mhm.
and there's environmental ones, good and not so good.
Mhm.
And I teach ABCs. I call it become aware, be and breathe with it. Ooh, those people are yelling. Ooh, they're fighting. I got to be with it. I'm going to breathe with it. I'm not going to judge it. C, I have a conscientious choice. I'm going to just ignore it and become aware of how beautiful things are.
Mhm.
So the brain's really cool. It has this big telescope right here called the prefrontal cortex. Everything has to come in from here. It's pretty much got two ways. It's going to go down oh, it's pretty good. Nice pathway. Or perhaps it goes down the old grooves that I've put in there for too long. Oh, it sucks. Oh, it's no good. Oh, it's another abuse. Blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Mhm.
Very often those grooves have gotten too deep into the brain.
Mhm.
So we have to reprogram and fill those grooves with a positive message so
Mhm.
that when someone bumps their head and they go, ooh, I could have died. In the next breath, they go, yeah, but I'm alive and I'm strong. And oh my goodness, I'm putting myself back together. This is awesome.
Mhm.
We have the power, like a Shaolin monk, okay, that when that force comes in, we have to change that energy. So the night before I'm leaving for Aruba, I'm bringing down my 48-pound suitcase because I'm going to Texas after. So I have winter and summer clothes. And I'm in my stocking feet and I fall down the stairs. I let go of the suitcase and it goes bung, bung, bung. I make it down halfway and the force goes up my coccyx, over my sacrum, torques the daylights out of my body. I'm like, holy schmoly. I just felt T12, 9, 10 go through possible compression fracture. So instantly I started to move the energy through my body and say, you're stronger, put it back together, bring the matrix back together, keep breathing into it. My husband comes running around the corner. What happened? What happened? Oh my goodness. And I like, don't talk about what happened. Talk about how good I am and how I'm healing and just hold the field of I'm healing, honey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because my husband wants to fix. That's people want to talk about what happened and how many stairs did you fall down and what did you hit and the litany. Okay? We got to stay away from the litany, those deep grooves, and go, I can change this energy, okay? Because I am also a gel matrix. I'm hard bones and muscles, but I'm a gel matrix. So me just getting my body to start moving and this, that, and the other, and telling it certain things, phenomenal, okay? I am all better.
And yeah, if you're a student hearing a message like that for the first time, that story, that type of story, I heard about Sue at a masterpiece camp a long time ago where she injured her ankle and she just was there and like being with it after she injured it. And, you know, you're in the middle of nowhere up on this mountain, there's nobody coming to save you. And you just have to like be with yourself and trust that, hey, like if I can really integrate this force, then I can move forward. And that sounds like the same type of story, and that's helped me recently. Something fell, hit me, kind of knocked me down, and I just stayed there and I was with myself, and somebody was like, oh my god, are you okay? And I'm so sorry, and blah blah blah, can I get you that? And I was just like, just give me a minute, let me just process this, let me integrate this. So that's really a great story to share with anyone out there that's gonna. Yeah, and you mentioned also that we have these deep grooves in our consciousness that people have become so culturally indoctrinated to a certain way of relating to health and healing and well-being, and that as chiropractic students, you're learning about something that is really different. It's a different message. It's a different way of relating to yourself, to the body. Can you speak to how a lot of chiropractic students stay in that sickness, symptoms, and treatment model for so long, and how hard it is to really uproot or take those roots out of your consciousness that basically you're looking at something needing to be fixed, and sort of that process that we need to go through, that deeper process as chiropractors to get out of the treatment model and get out of that therapeutic model where you just want to be someone's fixer, and just how hard that could be. You can hear the philosophy and you can hear the principles, but if you were raised that way and the people that are around you when you get out of school are that way, how easy it is to fall back into that, and how we really do need to be strong within to how we can get to that place or arrive at that place where we're stronger within than that which is without that which is outside of us, which might be pushing us towards a therapeutic direction or just get things fixed.
So as chiropractors, we function on, it's an inside job, okay? Everything goes on within. The therapeutic is an outside in approach, okay? Because when you're out in the big world, you're gonna have to deal with insurance companies and letters and all this other stuff. I sort of look at when I'm working with somebody almost like in 3 parts. Okay, yeah, they're here for some pain. I know I can deal with that, no big deal. Here's the therapeutic notations, okay, that will support what I'm really gonna be doing. And I leave it there, okay? I only give it this much power. Where I deal with that's the outside. What I deal with on the inside is their innate to my innate. And I go into their system looking for the disconnects and to help that to flow. Because my belief and my practice is based on finding what is not flowing, okay? There's a reason that the chi and the life force is getting blogged up in some place, and our job is literally to get that chi to flow. Very often a patient will say, Katina, you're not touching my shoulder. Can't you just rub it? Can't you just make that go away? I want you to make my pain go away on my shoulder. I'll put my hand on it. I'll say, oh, Mary, your shoulder is screaming. Okay. My job is actually not to take your pain away. My job, and it's not to rub that shoulder because it's been rubbed out. My job is to find out where upriver or downriver in your body that life force is not moving, that's allowing that poor thing to scream. So I may not even touch your shoulder today, okay? Because I have to find why is the life not moving through that shoulder? And they go, oh. So acknowledge the therapeutic need that they have in their mind, okay? And then do what you got to do. And because you are reteaching their whole system and their brain. Health. People heal from inside out. That's the biggest thing that we do. Okay? And we don't compartmentalize. Okay. You're not a head and a shoulder and a hip you are one whole being. And over again, we're really training people. When someone talks about, let's say, my shoulder, and I hate my shoulder, it's a bad shoulder. I'll help them realize, your words have a lot of power. If you have a child and you keep telling it it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's going to grow up and act really bad. So you keep telling that shoulder it's bad, it's going to treat you that way. And all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and like, oh yeah, you're right, Katina. So whatever we tell our bodies, that's what's going to happen. So teaching them about the inside out approach and how powerful really their body is. It links reality, their internal reality, with what's going on the outside. Chiropractic does that.
Yeah. And sweet. Well, appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with any prospective student out there considering this path. You've done a great job of like really getting into the details of what it's like to be a chiropractor in this universe, and just play. It sounds like you're in Aruba playing right now, and you're still in practice, right?
And your practice is your play. Okay. Whatever career you pick, okay, it has to give you joy. It has to give you satisfaction. It just has to. Otherwise, you really got to look in the mirror and ask yourself a bunch of questions as to why am I here? What is my purpose? There is a greater purpose. Your divine intervention is calling you all the time along your pathway. And that will bring great joy and satisfaction. And your joy and your satisfaction spreads out to the people that you adjust. It spreads out to your community. It spreads out to the other doctors that you're going to train. It's going to spread out to the other doctors that come and work at your office. And you're creating a community of health-minded people. And you're literally creating pockets of light. It's the best.
It is. It's been a joy for me. 10 years in, I never knew about this profession. I learned about it by accident almost. And, people say there's no mistakes, but I just want people to know that this exists. I think the message you shared right now will resonate with the majority of people out there, but they really need to hear, they need to quiet the noise and the pressures to go towards medical, to go towards physical therapy, because there really are external pressures. And if you're a student and you have those pressures, you got to ask yourself, how happy will I be in that path? And if you really feel like you'd be happy, that's great. But if you're doing it for other person, we're trying to give you permission to think outside of the box, think outside of that sort of pushing that's happening on you. So have a beautiful day. Thank you, everybody.